gotta go easy here because, well, I'm holding a big ass watermelon in my lap.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Joe Rockstar channel. Recently, Roost Goggles sent me a pair of their premium flagship goggles to try out. In this video, we're going to take a look at these goggles and see how they compare to some of the goggles I've owned in the past. We're also going to take a look at how they stack up against some of the premium goggles that I've been using lately. And spoiler alert, if you're in the market for some good goggles and you don't want to spend a ton of money, you might want to give these a shot. So for those of you who don't know who Roost Goggles are, they're a relatively new company that started R&D about 3 years ago and then released their first model in 2018. For me, it's a really big deal to support newcomers in the industry, especially when I feel like the big names are taking advantage of us with overpriced products just because of their name recognition. Roost says what sets them apart from the competition is that they offer a top quality product without the premium pricing. They also say that they process and package all of their products right here in Arizona. So let's get started and see what these goggles are all about. Okay, a couple of disclaimers to get us started. First, I am no goggle expert. I'm just your everyday Joe Rockstar giving you my opinion on what I think of these goggles. Look at it this way. I've been using dirt bike goggles for about 4 years now, and I've owned several pairs from the bargain bin all the way up to the premium shelf. Pretty much all I need or expect is for them to be comfortable, provide an adequate field of view, and protect my eyes from roost, rocks, tree limbs, and the occasional insect.
Got a grasshopper in the mouth.
Second, Roost has been supporting the channel for a few months now, and while I appreciate their support, I will do my best to be objective and honest. I'm never going to promise a positive review to anyone in exchange for money unless I actually believe in the product and would use it myself. Lastly, I have to admit this definitely isn't the most scientific approach. Well, Roost goggles are pretty inexpensive as goggles go. At just under $40 as of the filming of this video, they are barely more expensive than replacement lenses were for my Scott Tyrants or the 100% Racecraft goggles that I own. That cost savings is reflected in the no-frills packaging that you get them in. And honestly, who really cares about the packaging? Most manufacturers use fancy packaging and pass that extra cost off to the customer. Personally, I'm much more interested in a product than the box that it comes in, and a fancy box is just fancy garbage. Inside, you're going to find one set of goggles, a Roost sticker, and a nice protective nylon bag to carry them in. Out of the gate, the first thing I notice is that they're extremely lightweight, and maybe because they are so light, they come off as a little flimsy. So much so that I was actually concerned that I might break them when I pulled the pesky removable nose guard. I'm not really a fan of those nose guards, and I always toss them out. But alas, looks can be deceiving, and the nose piece came off easily. Surprisingly, the goggle frame has a lot of flex in it, and it can be twisted a great deal without cracking or breaking. The tinted lens looks great, but they also feel a little flimsy as well, and I'm worried about how well they're going to hold up against roost or rocks and tree limbs. The goggles come with a strap that is wider at 45mm than the 40mm band that's on my Scott Tyrants, and it's equal in the width and quality of the band that came with the Racecraft goggles. And of course the strap has the silicone coating that all premium goggles use to keep the strap from sliding around on your helmet. The strap meets the frame on outriggers designed to make a better fit with all helmet styles. The goggles make contact with your face through its triple layer foam, just like the most expensive brands. All of these features combine in an inexpensive yet affordable set of goggles, which are more comparable to my higher end Racecraft goggles than the Scott Tyrants. Now in my opinion, the Roost goggles look great. I'm sporting the black on black color, but they have several different colors available. And while style is not the most important feature to influence my decisions on which goggles to buy, I'm sure we all want a pair that looks good, and Roost has you covered in that aspect.
Gotta get the air conditioner going. Oh man, it's so hot.
So it's the hot time of year here in Arizona, and on the day of my first real test of these goggles, I found myself pushing hard in my first triple-digit temperature day of the season. I'm definitely happier in warmer weather than, say, this, but I wouldn't be opposed to turning the heat down about 25 degrees. But as far as testing these goggles go and their ability to handle the effects of heat, it was a perfect day. One thing I noticed right away when I took these goggles out of the package was a lack of visible vents like you find on some of the premium brands out there. There's actually venting
you just can't see it. You can see it on the inside, but not on the outside, around the foam. But there's no vents in the front, on the sides like you would expect.
This had me a little worried about comfort and fogging issues. Fogging, in my opinion, is more of a safety issue, and so we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But heat is the perfect conditions for a comfort test. See, one of the problems I experience when I'm competing in long races is the effect the sweat has on my goggles. Near the end of any race, my goggles collect a lot of sweat in the foam around my face, and it starts to drip down the lenses. With well-ventilated goggles, it still happens, but it's much less of an issue. The Roost goggles seem to actually keep the sweat off the lens and out of my eyes. Advantage Roost. When it comes to comfort, overall I can honestly say that I really didn't notice a big difference between these and my premium goggles. I didn't feel any less comfortable wearing the Roost goggles than I do with any other brand. So I can definitely check off the comfort criteria as a big success. Roost goggles are just as good as the more expensive goggles. But what about the field of view?
That's how you do it, boys.
Now here I have to give them a small knock, and when I say small, I'm really nitpicking here. See, these little tabs on the frame just below the eyes aren't exactly a major problem with blocking my field of vision as much as they're a problem because they're in my field of vision. They aren't going to cause me to miss something that I need to see, but they're a little bit distracting, and after a while you do get used to them. So this is where I expect these goggles to suffer. Testing the goggles' resistance to fogging up would be a little tougher this time of year in Arizona. The arid desert climate is just too dry. So I put my thinking cap on and I came up with a solution. I'm not sure if this is a valid test, but I can say they passed it because exhaling in this environment produced a small layer of fogging on the goggles, but it instantly disappeared.
All right, Chris. We got Chris on the YZ. We're calling him the Rooster today because Chris is always the one who roosts me, so he's the perfect person for this test, right?
That's right.
All right, so what we're doing here is we're gonna test these goggles against Roost in one of the most extreme ways I could think of. Gentlemen, start your engine. Now here's the real test. Look, this is where your eyes would have been. Nice and clean. So don't worry about that little guy right there. And then look at all that. That's what happens to your face from Roost. And that could be your eyes. Here's the aftermath. So they're scratched up pretty good, but you would expect them to be. That's not a surprise. They didn't break though. Like, they're still in there. There's so much flexibility in these goggles. I like them.
Good job, Roost.
Didn't do as much damage as I thought it would to the melon though. Very surprised. Do you want to chuck rocks at it or something?
Yeah.
All right, so Logan's gonna take care of that melon. We expected so much more from it, right up against the wall. Just slam it as hard as you can. Let me do it, the next one. Whoa, it's spilling.
Whoa.
Here.
Okay.
Ready? Here it goes.
Oh, look at that. No, don't eat that. No!
There's a little bit of gravel, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah?
Perfect for a hot day. Well, I gotta say, that last test really sold me on these. I didn't expect this lens to survive those rocks. It's so flexible, it can take a hit. I think part of that is that design where it's so flexible is what helps it absorb so much shock or so many hits. I don't know. A really good set of goggles, guys, for $40. Oh, they can take a beating. Of course, you can always get new lenses, and I'll be having to purchase a new lens for this one. But yeah, I'm really impressed. I definitely recommend these Roost goggles, especially if you're out there, you know, trying to work on a budget. So I'll put the link where you guys can buy them down in the description. But yeah, Really, really impressed with these.